Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 21 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Abby Roberts. Abby, thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate it and could not do this without you. And if you guys want to be house guest of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Thanks again. Alright, so when we left off yesterday, the feeds were down for the Power Veto competition. Just a reminder, the players were Christie, Cliff, Catherine, and 3 extras, Nicole, Sam, and Jack. The host was supposed to be Tommy, but it turns out the competition was actually hosted by last season's winner, Casey. What? I have to say, I had the privilege of meeting Casey on Tuesday night at the premiere party in New York City, and she is so sweet, and I can totally see why her social game was so freaking good last year. So if you want to see an interview with her and you haven't already, check out the premiere party video. Yeah, she's awesome. Alright, so the feeds were down for like 6 to 7, I guess it was like 6.5 hours for this competition because it was individually timed. It was a food fight theme, so you had to catch different foods that were being dropped. I guess it was like last season's where they were like catching those squids and stuff. But this time it was foods, and each food had a different point value. And I think there were also like cardboard cutouts of the house guests throughout the yard being like, oh, so everyone was really excited talking about how much fun it was. And we find out that Sam won the Power of Veto. Wow! So again, they were having a lot of fun talking about the competition and how crazy it was. Apparently 3 people came out of that competition with a score of 0. They didn't catch any food. Everybody was amazed that Sam was even able to catch one of the onions. Okay, so I know there were onions, strawberries. I forgot what the other items were, but those were the 2 that I remember off the top of my head. So after the celebration broke up, Kat went to the horse camp bedroom to cry. Holly was comforting her. Holly's got to be freaking exhausted right now because I'm exhausted just watching this over and over again. And it seems like Holly is one of the people that really tries the hardest to comfort Kat. So Kat's like, I feel discouraged. I feel embarrassed that I did so bad in the competition. I feel like there's this plan to blindside me. So Holly's like, no, it's gonna be fine. It's fine. 2 other people got 0s in the competition too. Nobody's coming after you, blah, blah, blah. So then Jackson joins, and he is also telling Kat there's no plan to get rid of you, and that Sam will use the veto because he wants Chemi to go. So Catherine's like, well, what if they're telling me that I'm okay, but it's like a reverse backdoor? What the F is a reverse backdoor? Just like being put up? Yeah, you were put up on the block and had a chance to play in the veto. But anyway, they think that Sam is probably going to use the veto for sure. Probably for sure, because he wants Chemi to go. But they're thinking he's probably going to use it on Cliff and not Catherine, because it just doesn't make sense for him to use it on Catherine. But he is closer to Cliff, and they're telling Catherine, it's okay, you're going to have the votes to stay because everyone hates Chemi. Damn, that's a little harsh. Meanwhile, Jack, Nick, and Sam are in the lounge room, and they're asking Sam, who are you going to take down with the veto? And Sam says, probably Cliff. But he'll do whatever Christie or whatever the house wants, you know, whatever the general consensus is. So yeah, they're thinking Cliff for sure. And they're also thinking that Cliff might have the power from the first Whacktivity competition because he was in that first group competing for it. I'm not sure why exactly they think that he has it, but they don't seem to feel threatened by him potentially having it. But Sam's like, you know what, Cliff has already been through a lot. He was banished the first week. He deserves to come off the block. Sure. But they agree that they're gonna need to talk to Kat and calm her down because she is imploding. And they want to make sure that Chemi is the one to go this week and not Kat. So then Jack is like, all right, all that aside, let's talk about something else. He is like, we need to make an alliance of 5 within our group or whatever. Or no, this is a different thing. I can't even keep all of Jack's alliances straight. He wants to make an alliance of 5 by pulling in 2 more girls. So Nick is suggesting, okay, let's bring in Christie and Sis meaning Annalise. And Jack is like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's call it Stage 5. Is that like the generic brand of level 6? Is that the new 5-minute abs? I don't know. Something tells me that's the only season that Jack has seen, probably, right? Last season. So then they're like, oh yeah, sounds good, sounds good. But they haven't solidified it yet. So the convo was broken up when Ovi walked in, and then a few other people joined in as well. So Jack and Sam were alone again in the lounge room later, so there was more discussion about Stage 5. They feel like, you know, adding Christie and Sis to their pretty solid group of 3 guys, that's good. And then they feel like they're still gonna have Bella, Holly, Nicole, and Ovi voting however they tell them to. I don't know about that. But then Sam is like, okay, well, what if like we add Mickey, meaning Jackson, to the group? Should he be in the group? And Jack says no. Oh, he says, you know what, we're probably gonna lose him in a power play at some point because he is one of the bigger targets out of our group. And he also says that he and Mickey are like the same type of player, so I guess there can only be one, right? Is that type the racist? Ah, okay, I'm just saying, Jack and Jackson, questionable, right? I mean, we've already seen Jackson's targets so far. Seems to be all the minorities. That's a little sus. And Jack has made a lot of problematic comments. Why is he calling Ovi Brown Flame? First of all, I heard he was like making fun of Ovi's IBS, which is pretty messed up, and it just, like, Brown Flame? I'm gonna leave it there. But Jackson is gonna be so gutted when he finds out that his boy Jack doesn't even want to include him in future alliances. So then Sam is like, okay, maybe we can tack on like 2 or 3 more people, make it a group of 7 or 8 for backup, and then we can make everyone that we want to work with at some point feel like they're part of something. Which is crazy that he's saying this, because Jack is already involved in a group of 3. So he's got Jack, Jackson, and Bella. Those 3 are involved in a group of 6 if you tack on Nick, Christie, and Holly. And then they're in a group of 8 when you tack on Annalise and Tommy. And Sam isn't officially in that, but he's like closely orbiting that group. So they already have a group of like 8 or 9. And now they're talking about making a slightly different group of 7 or 8. It's crazy. It's wild. So then, moving on, Catherine is still crying in the bedroom, and there's a lot of people visiting her and reassuring her. You got Nick stopping by, Annalise, Christie, blah, 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 blah. Same shit. You're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Chemi's going. Okay. But there was a nice, pure moment yesterday. A bunch of the house guests got together and sang happy birthday to Cliff's son Daniel. I think it was like his 24th birthday or something. So Cliff was all emoji and crying. It was really sweet. But oh my god, Rockstar is still waiting for happy birthday wishes for her daughter. I mean, really. So then, a little while later, this is where it starts to get interesting, guys. Jessica visits Catherine at her cry bed. And first of all, Catherine seemed a little annoyed that Ovi visited her before Jessica, and I guess he like woke her up or something, so she was like annoyed with that. Ugh, I didn't hear her annoyed about anybody else visiting her. I'm just saying. So then Catherine tells Jess, oh, I feel like Bella's gonna come after me the first chance that she gets. Of course you feel that way, because Bella is close to Jackson, and we know that Catherine is into Jackson. So she says, Bella's trying to infiltrate Jackson. Oh my god. So then Catherine says, I'm gonna play it cool right now with Bella because Bella is in much better standing with the rest of the house than I am, so I can't be like shaking things up with that. But she says that she wants to take Bella out whenever she gets the chance to do it. Oh my god, stop. Like, don't ruin the season with your insecurities like that. Please stop. So Catherine starts saying that she's worried that if she's up on the block against Chemi, that the votes will potentially flip because Bella and Chemi are close. So Bella's gonna turn things around on her. And Jess is like, I don't think so. But Jess is worried in general because she notices other people are already bonding and getting close, and she's not really a part of that. So yeah, she should be worried about that because that's not a good feeling, right? So then Nicole walks in, breaks up their conversation. All right, let's get back to Jack. He really needs to rein things in because he is kind of like setting himself up for a major failure here, I think. He was chatting with Tommy in the lounge room, and it sounds like he's also in a final 3 with Tommy and Christie. So he's like, you know, at some point, we're gonna have to make a final 5 within our 8. So this group of 8 is the same group that I was talking about before: Jack, Jackson, Bella, Nick, Christie, Holly, Annalise, and Tommy. So I believe they call themselves Grateful. Okay. So he's like, yeah, we need to have a group of 5 within this 8. So Tommy proposes adding Holly and Sis to their group. And this is him assuming that Christie's already involved because Christie, Tommy, and Jack have this final 3. So Jack is like losing track of who's in which alliance. He's like, oh, well, what if we added a guy? What if we add Mickey? Or what if we add Christie instead of, I can't remember which girl he wanted to replace, but he's like, what if we have Christie instead of blah, blah, blah. So he didn't initially include Christie in this alliance, even though they're supposed to have a final 3. Tommy boy, you should be taking notes here. Jack is all over the place. All right, so then Jackson and Christie were chatting in the HOH room. There was a lot of information in this conversation, and it was a lot of varied info. It wasn't all about one subject, so this was important. So Jackson says that they need to realize Ovi is a big deflection right now. I think he meant distraction because he was like, we need to make sure that while everybody's focusing on Chemi and Ovi right now, we need to pay attention to other people that are like forming bonds, and we need to figure out who's going to be winning competitions and who's going to be a threat. We can't be distracted by them. So Jackson's saying we're gonna have to keep Ovi until week 3 because Jess needs to go next week. For F's sake, are you freaking kidding me? So you're gonna get rid of David, you're gonna get rid of Chemi, you're gonna get rid of Jess, and then you're gonna get rid of Ovi. What is wrong with this picture? Okay, so Jackson is planning on getting rid of 3 of the 4 people that he banished. It's kind of interesting that the one person that he's not targeting from that group is Cliff. Wow, okay. Also, why is Ovi the next target after Jess? It's just so clear. Like, I'm tired of the excuses, you guys. It's annoying. And I don't mean like to be a jerk about it, because I know a lot of people in the comments are like, oh, it's not racism, stop bringing racism up. But let's be real, racism is still very much existing in America, and just denying it is not cool because maybe you just don't see the racism because you're not exposed to it, you know what I mean? So you really have to be considerate of other people. Moving on. It is really hot in here. Okay, Christie says that if they get rid of Jess next, the week 3 activity competition is gonna be lit because it's just gonna be her, Annalise, and Nick playing. That's assuming they get rid of Chemi and then Jess. So then we also find out that week 2, it's gonna be Jackson, Jack, Tommy, Holly, and Sam competing. So I guess they're gonna have 5 people scheduled for each competition. And if you're evicted before your designated competition, oh well. So that means by process of elimination, the week 1 competitors were Cliff, Bella, Kat, Nicole, and Ovi. And at this point, we still don't know who won that. So Jackson says, oh yeah, well, I just gotta say too that Sam really scares me after today's competition. He's got this look in his eye that frightens me. But they feel like Sam is gonna use the veto, because if he doesn't, he knows he's gonna have like 8 to 10 people coming after him next week. Okay. So then Christie's like, don't worry, Kat's not going anywhere this week. We're sticking to the plan. And Jackson's like, you know, I kind of slipped up with Kat a few nights ago. So in a roundabout way, he admits without saying it that he slept with Kat. Whoa. Okay. So this happened before the feeds came on, which means it was like within the first week of them being there, which is like totally crazy to me. I'm not gonna judge them, but like, that's a lot. It's a lot. Especially since they're not a showmance. Jackson has no intention of being in a showmance with her. And he's like, how many people can say that they did it in the Big Brother house? Okay, so he says he's staying close to Kat because he doesn't want her to feel used, but he can never be with her. That's really shitty, because I feel like Kat is genuinely interested in him and he's like kind of using her. He says it's a close friendship, but nothing more. Does she know that? Because I don't know that she does. But I also want to mention here, Christie already seemed to know that those two hooked up. And I'm wondering, is this what caused the Jack and Jackson rift? Was Jackson telling Jack about hooking up with, I can never remember her name, with Kat, and then Jack turned around and told Christie? Is that what caused this whole thing? I think it might be. But Jackson's like, I don't want to put a target on my back because of Kat. And he was saying, I also don't want you, Christie, and Jack to have a target on your backs because you guys are getting so close. And Christie's like, whoa, we're not together like that. That's not a thing. So then they were talking about the girls in the house, and Jackson admits that Sis, Annalise, is more his type. But he thinks that she's more into Jack. Okay, so he's gonna stay away from her. So then after this conversation, Jackson goes downstairs and comforts Kat, who is still crying. She's like, I feel alone. I miss my friends from home. Okay, go to them then. Oh my God. Ugh. All right, meanwhile, Jessica and Nicole were chatting, and Jessica says at some point this week, Christie said to her that she didn't want to put up Chemi because she thought that she would look racist. And Jessica and Nicole both agree that they like Chemi, and they do think it's gonna look bad if Chemi is out next after David. Jess is like, yeah, it wouldn't look racist if Chemi like blew up or something and made a scene, but she hasn't. She's not even a comp threat. It really doesn't make sense. Nicole is saying it really sucks too because Chemi's gonna be hurt because she likes Christie. And Nicole does say, yes, Chemi threw out a lot of people's names, but she's also been really quiet, and she's worried that a lot of people are interpreting that as like shadiness, but apparently Chemi is just not good in like group situations. So she feels bad that she's being targeted for that. So then the feeds switch and come back because Big Brother doesn't want us hearing any talk about racism. So then Nicole's like, if Chemi stays, I hope she wins HOH and goes batshit on the guys. Woo! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So Jess feels like she kind of wants to talk to Chemi about all this, but she also doesn't want to make any big, like, sudden moves that are going to endanger her game so early on. Jess doesn't even realize that she is, like, the next target. So then Obi joins them, and thankfully they actually stay and talk to him, unlike most people who immediately get up and leave. So I also want to ask Big Brother, please stop cutting to Kat crying to Jackson when we're trying to listen to this game chat. So they were like flipping back and forth because, again, Big Brother doesn't want us to hear about any potential like racism in the house. So they're talking about how the three of them need to stick together. Obi does say, Chemi kind of did throw out my name earlier, which is not cool. They're realizing Chemi might be a lost cause at this point if she's already like potentially going up on the block and going out. But they are agreeing they cannot throw each other under the bus and just let the others pick them off one at a time. I feel like we're seeing the early formation of the Underdog Alliance, and I hope that they can pull something together soon because they need to get things moving here. So Jess is like, we don't know what alliances have been forming so far, but I think we can put things together here because they know a couple of people are already planning on moving in together after the show. And they're like, I really doubt those people are gonna screw each other over, you know, and then live with them after. It just doesn't make sense. So like, there's a really good chance that the people that are talking about living together are probably working together in this game. So then they're wondering if they should discuss this with Cliff. I say yes, but they're not doing it right now. So speaking of Cliff, he goes to the boat lounge to talk to Sam. Nick is in there too. So Cliff congratulates Sam on his veto win, and he's like, what are you thinking? You know, what are you thinking you're gonna do with the veto? And Sam says, well, I'm leaning more towards using the veto on Cliff. So yeah, he's like, you've been through a lot, you do more around the house than Catherine does, you deserve to be here more, so I'm probably gonna use it on you. And Cliff is like, that's awesome. He says he would like to work with Sam and Nick moving forward. So then they discuss future plans if they win the HOH, and Cliff is like, well, I guess maybe I would target Jess. Ugh. He also says that Ovi wants to work with him, but he's trying to distance himself from Ovi because he sees that Ovi is rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. Cliff, no. Cliff is like trying to get in with the cool kids, and it's making me really sad. So they all seem to agree that they would put up some combination of Jess, Ovi, and Kat. Kat is in the mix because she's already been up on the block, so they figure it's less blood on their hands. And Cliff is like, well, it sucks because I like Ovi as a person, you know, but I know that he's not getting along with a lot of people. And Nick is like, it's not about who we like, it's about game. Oh, really? What are your game reasons for wanting Ovi out? Because I feel like they have said they want him out because he's weird and they don't feel like they get along with him. Okay. Anyway, I just realized who Nick reminds me of, like, vocally. His voice sounds so much like Bradley Cooper in American Hustle. Let me know if you agree. Okay, so anyway, last night, Christie was really starting to freak out about making this big move and putting Chemi up on the block. So she was in the boat lounge with Holly, Jack, and Annalise, and she's really worried because Kat has shown she gets really paranoid, and she feels like Kat will continue to spiral and dig her own grave between the veto ceremony and the eviction. And if she keeps acting this way, people are gonna want to vote her out. So she's like, what if Kat is evicted and then all of the blood is on my hands for putting Chemi up on the block? That's not good for my game. So then Christie is also bringing up, Chemi never really did anything to me. It doesn't really make sense for me to put her on the block. You are doing other people's dirty work. So they don't really have anything to say to that, but they're reassuring Christie, oh, the vote won't flip, it's gonna be fine, Chemi's gonna go. So then Christie's like, okay, but like, how do we know that Bella is not gonna vote Kat out? Because Bella is kind of close to Chemi, but also like talking about Chemi behind her back. It's like a weird relationship. But Annalise shares that earlier in the day, Bella was like floating around the idea of giving Chemi a sympathy vote because she's like, I don't think it would feel very good to go out on a unanimous vote. And this is true. Bella really was talking about potentially giving Chemi a sympathy vote. So now Christie is very concerned. She's like, wow, that's a red flag. And of course, she's associating Nick with Bella because they're getting closer. So she's like, oh my God, there might be 2 votes that flip. This is not good. So then Christie is bringing up her concerns to Tommy in the HOH room, and she is crying. She is very emotional about this. You can tell it's really hitting her. And she's like, wow, this whole Chemi thing does not feel good. She feels like she's playing other people's games, meaning Jack and Jackson, and she's saying the only valid reason for me to want Chemi out would be because we're playing in the same activity competition. And I think that's a pretty lame excuse. But she's saying, yeah, Chemi dropped a lot of people's names within our alliance, but she didn't do anything to me personally. So, like, why am I potentially putting her up on the block and getting rid of her? She doesn't want to feel like she's playing Jack and Jackson's games. You would be if you do that. So she says, also, I'm just doing Jackson a favor by keeping Catherine. Is it a favor though? I don't know. I feel like after a while, Catherine's gonna become a burden for Jackson. But she says, I thought I could really trust Jack, but she's realizing he plays everyone. And I mean, the girls are really noticing that Jack seems to have everyone wrapped around his finger because he's like so hot. And they're acknowledging this, but at the same time, they're kind of like letting it happen. So Christie doesn't like that everyone seems to think that she's in a showmance with Jack. She really wants to distance herself from him. And Tommy's like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but he's also worried that if they go against Grateful, that alliance of 8 at this point, they're not gonna trust Christie anymore, and that would be really bad for her game. So he's like, I don't know, I think you should just stick to the plan and get rid of Chemi. So then who joins them? Chemi. Christie is still crying at this point. She doesn't tell Chemi the real reason why. Luckily for Christie, probably like half the house cried at some point yesterday. It was very emotional. I think, you know, they've been in the house over a week now. I think a lot of it is catching up to them, so they're all freaking out. But anyway, Chemi was, you know, consoling her, trying to comfort her and make her feel better. So then later, Christie expresses her concerns to Holly and Annalise. She feels even worse now because Chemi was comforting her, and now she's like gonna put her up on the block. So she's saying again, I don't want to play Jack and Jackson's game. And they're like, no, we're not going to. We're gonna get rid of Jack once it gets down to 8. We're gonna get rid of Jackson at some point. It's not gonna be that hard. It's gonna be whatever. I don't know. I think it could be a little difficult, but we'll see. So anyway, they're telling her, you know, you do what you want to do and we'll support you, but also, like, we think you should get rid of Chemi. All right. So then in other news, Nick and Bella seem to really like each other, but they don't want to ruin each other's games by getting into a showmance, and everybody finds out about it and is like, whoa, we gotta split them up. Also, it sounds like Bella's possessions are like at her ex's place or something. I don't know, I didn't get the full story on that, but they also have like this therapy session of sorts. Bella was really opening up to him about her mom and her relationship with her mom and how her dad passed away from cancer. So it was all this really personal stuff. And then Nick was also talking about his own anxiety and depression. So Tommy joined them for part of the conversation. So it was a real bonding experience for the three of them. And then today, it seems like the plan to backdoor Chemi is still on. Christie has been reassuring Cliff and Kat that they're both going to be safe. Sam has confirmed that he's going to be using the power veto on Cliff. And yeah. At least the backyard opened up today, right? We got to see a glimpse of that. Everybody was kind of just like chilling out, sunbathing, swimming, all that good stuff. And then Chemi lets Nicole know she's starting to get a little bit worried that she's going to go up on the block if the veto is used. I think she can just tell by the way that people are acting with her. Like, nobody has told her straight up, you're going to be in trouble. But she's starting to get a little bit paranoid, and with good reason. Nicole is like, oh, I don't think Sam's gonna use it. And I think she genuinely does believe that. Because she's like, there's no reason for Sam to make waves and use the veto this early. It just wouldn't make sense. Alright, so I mean, other than that, it's been a pretty quiet day thus far. The house guests are just enjoying the backyard. For some reason, they thought that there would be a live eviction on Sunday. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's just wishful thinking. It's gonna be on Wednesday. And, you know, nobody is sure when the veto ceremony is going to be at this point because the first week is always kind of weird. especially now that the eviction day has been moved up a little bit. I don't know when it's going to be. They seem to think it's today. I'm not sure if it's today, tomorrow, or Sunday. Who knows? But if you guys want to check back later, if they do have the ceremony, I'll leave the results in the info box below. But that's where we're at right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. There is always that chance that if Chemi does still go up on the block, which it's looking like will happen, there is that chance that the votes could flip. And I think that would be super exciting. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. And until next time, much love.